Good morning, everybody. We're exploring Genesis 46 and 47 today. We're almost at the end of Genesis as we near the end of January. So sometimes we can be very guilty of acting upon the obvious. And there's some people who say, well, you know, when things are obvious, you just need to do it. You don't need to consult the Lord for every little thing. No, maybe not every little thing like what should I have for lunch today. But hey, this opportunity came up, more money, better living facility, great for my family, and it's across the country. What do you think? You know, that might be something. Just because it looks good doesn't mean that it is good. And we have so many examples in the Bible of people who situations looked right, but they didn't bother consulting with the Lord, and they ended up in a whole bunch of trouble. Jacob wasn't that way. Jacob, as you know, when you consider what he started off as and how he ended, Jacob is one who really grew in maturity and revelation of the Lord. He had so many encounters of the Lord. There's so much that he learned, that there's no way that he was going to make a move without God. Now, this might seem obvious to you. They were in a drought, and there was no food, and people were dying, and they had no way of producing food, and their livestock were dying. And here his son Joseph was in charge of Egypt, the only country that had food. And the leader, Pharaoh, of this country had extended an invitation for Jacob and all of his family to come and live in Egypt because they appreciated Joseph so much. And I mean, to you and me, that's a duh moment. Like, yeah, let's go for it. Obviously, you know, do we stay here and die? But Jacob wasn't about to do that. He went to God, and God gave him permission. God said yes. And then as a result, a benefit of this, he also received prophecy of what was going to happen. He was told what was going to happen. And this is what happens when the risk that we run when we don't even consult God with what looks obvious, because he likes to fill in the details. And when we consult with him, he will show us details that we would have missed if he had just gone out on our own, and encouraging details. Because we may find it difficult. I mean, Jacob was going to live in Egypt for 17 years before he died, and he may wonder, you know, what's going on, you know, the Lord told him when he gave him permission to go to Egypt what exactly was going to happen. The whole slavery of the people and stuff, I mean, that's one thing, but God gave him promises about all of that. And this is the thing, is that Father has to be our first source of everything. He has to be our encouragement. He's got to be our sustenance. He's got to be the very bread of life. He's got to be the food that we consume. He is the reason for everything. And so we don't leave him out of anything. And because we don't leave him out of anything, and we have this ongoing conversation with him, we get a lot of the details that we would have missed on our own. He gives us the prophecies. He tells us maybe not exactly how it's going to work, but he tells us what some of the results are going to be, so that we can be encouraged by it. And this is important, because some of these things that we're involved in, these are things for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. That we're involved in, and we will need those prophecies to take them out, to review them, to remind ourselves, to encourage ourselves in these things, because the work of the Lord, it can be mysterious at times, and his timing is very interesting, and he can tell us stuff now that's not going to happen for 20 years, but he tells us now so that we can be encouraged in the direction that we're going, even if it looks all confusing. It looks like a maritime road or something. It's all confusing. It's all over the place. But when we hold on to those prophecies, that is the encouragement for us. So, like in all things consult him. In all things, even the obvious things, not just the things where you're confused, but the obvious things, consult him. And you'll learn to hear his voice. You'll learn to take direction. You'll learn to appreciate the things that he'll share with you. Okay, you guys be blessed, be encouraged. Love you all.